So the 2015 vintage, is just a baby right now, and it's in its infancy at this point. In early 2016. But having come from a real complete tasting of the 14s, and I've already talked about how I think their elegance is to be prized. There is a lot of chatter about 2015 as a vintage in Burgundy. Because it's big and it's forward and it's powerful and it's ripe, and it's definitely, if 2014 is a sort of kind of old school classicist sort of style of Burgundy vintage, I think 15, and this is very early going, but I think 15 certainly appears to be something that's going to push into a much more modern style. The wines are big, they're powerful, they're fruity. They have, the reds have, look like they're going to have, a good tannic structure to them. It's just a question of kind of what do you like in your wines. I think that in Burgundy, what you hear from people is that 2015, even though it was a very warm, even bordering on hot vintage with pretty early harvest, the first thing they say is these are not 2003s. 2003 was this kind of crazy hot vintage where there was this rush to get everything off the vines at the end. The advantage that 2015 has against 2003 is that it's a vintage that where even though things were hot, things were marching along at an understood pace that people could prepare for. So there was no rush at the end. People harvested fruit when they wanted to harvest fruit. It was just earlier than they would normally do it against historical averages. To me, again, really early on, 2015 has a little bit of maybe a 2005 cognate to it. Big, ripe, lots of structure, but probably wines that are gonna take some time to really come into their own. I mean, if you think of the 2005s, they were really showy and then they shut down, and they're just now, kind of 10 years later, I think starting to come kind of back into themselves. And it's really early days. But my expectation is that the 15s may show some of that sort of cognate to them. That there's the possibility of greatness there for sure, but probably with some really meaningful cellar age. Whereas to go back to the 14s are awfully lovely, and my expectation is that they'll sort of ride that sort of lovely elegance program, hopefully pretty seamlessly over the course of their evolution. So two really dramatically different vintages. It should be fun to be able to look at both of them together here in the next year or couple of years.